This is a Piper J3 Cub. We wanted to tell the story of a female. And so to join all of those guys that are around the other side, it's inside because the airplane is fabric covered. It's very light, J3 Cub. And you can pick it up in the back, and so it's very fragile. And so what the plan is, when we get our museum built, well, we will then hang this J3 Cub from the ceiling so people can be on a mezzanine and they can look and see the airplane. And so we want to protect her, so we keep her in this shelter. This is our restoration shelter. The helicopter that we saw, the Huey, the SH-3, Marine One, were all restored in this building. It's a portable shelter, but it took place over there. We moved it here, which is its permanent location. And so we've just got the Cub stored in here until such time as we've got room. We've got a new building out there that we can put her out there on display. But this is the only airplane that Aviation Heritage Park actually owns. We bought it. We were looking for a J3 Cub because we wanted to tell a story of this female, African-American female, Willa Brown. Willa Brown was born in Glasgow, but her family moved to Indiana when she was very young. Graduated from high school, graduated from college there, became a college teacher. But she had always wanted to fly, but she had two strikes against her. One, she was a female, and two, African American. And so she couldn't find anybody to teach her how to fly. She ended up leaving where she was teaching there in Indiana and went to Chicago and became a social worker in Chicago. And while she was there, she met this guy named Coffin. He was a black guy, but he was also a pilot. And so she went to him and he said, "I'll teach you to fly." And so he did. He taught her to fly in a J3 Cub. She ended up marrying Coffin. This is before World War II started. There was a program called Cptp, which was a program where, as World War II was getting ready to start, President Roosevelt recognized that we needed to, this is before we entered the war, that we needed to start getting ready. And we didn't have the infrastructure, the Army Air Corps didn't have the infrastructure to teach as many pilots to fly as what they had. So they contracted out with civilian schools. And Willa Brown and her husband, Coffee, got a contract to teach people to fly. They would teach African Americans to fly there. And so African American guys that wanted to learn how to fly, they gravitated to Chicago, and Willa Brown and Coffee started what's known as the Coffin School of Aeronautics at the Harlem Airport. If you go to Harlem Avenue and go to the end of Harlem Avenue, there's a strip mall there, and that used to be an airport, a grass strip, and that's where Willa Brown and the other instructors there at the Coffin School of Aeronautics taught guys how to fly. You've heard of the Tuskegee Airmen. We don't know exactly how many men that Willa Brown and Coffee and the instructors there taught how to fly, but we know there was probably in excess of 200 who went on to Tuskegee, Alabama, and become members of the Tuskegee Airmen squadrons that went and fought during World War II, made a name for themselves. But Willa Brown, in this little old Cub, is where it all started. All the pilots who flew in World War II, they had their start in flying a Cub airplane. It has no electrics. It has no starter. The way you start the airplane is you get in and you fix your magneto and you reach up and you hand prop the airplane and it starts, the engine starts, and then you get in it and you go fly. If it's single seat, you fly in the back seat because of the center of gravity. But if you have two people, why the other one obviously sits right up here. But the only part of the airplane that's metal is up here around the engine where it gets hot. This right here, this is all fabric. nothing breaks on it because there's nothing on it to break. It has a stick, it has a throttle, and very few instruments up there, but it never breaks. And so they would fly it and fly it and fly it. It doesn't carry much fuel. Look at this. See this right here? You know what this is? That's the gas tank. There's a cork on the bottom of this, so when the tank that's right here is full of fuel, it's up here. And as you burn fuel, it goes down. And so when it gets down to right here, you need to be on the ground. So anyway, that's neat. It's so neat. We get people that come in here that said, I flew a Cub, I owned a Cub. As a matter of fact, I told you that we bought this airplane. We bought it from a guy up in Indiana, and there's a friend of Aviation Heritage Park, Jerry Kirby, who has a Cub. And so he said, I'll go get it for you. And he drove up there in a pickup truck with two of his buddies. And first of all, before we bought it, well, he flew it. He took off and flew it around the airport and came back and said, yep, it does good. So we bought it. And he then got to fly it to Bowling Green. And so he took off coming this way, and his two buddies were in their pickup truck, and they got back to Bowling Green before he did. He had to stop in Elizabethtown to get gas. The airplane has a 65-horse engine, and it only flies 60 miles an hour. It doesn't take any room for takeoff and land it, which is why they put the Army, I forget how many thousand that they bought of these Piper Cubs, and they painted them green, and they used them to drive or fly reconnaissance. We have stories of, you've heard of General George Patton. George Patton had a Piper Cub assigned to his unit, and he would sit up here in the front with the pilot flying him around in the back seat, and he would do reconnaissance. This is why he was able to beat the Desert Fox, because he would fly around and he would do reconnaissance of where they were going to do combat. And he would land again, and then they would go do it. And I can picture him sitting right here, the glass, the window right here, you can take it off, and the door, which is down here, which closes up, you take it off, and there's nothing in the way. You can see, you can do anything, and it flies so slow that you can do real good reconnaissance with it. But this Piper Cub, we wanted to tell the story of Willa Brown. Not only did World War II is over, and that's not the end for Willa Brown. Willa Brown was the first female African American to run for Congress. She ran 3 times. She never was elected, but she ran, and she went on to be the first African American female officer in what is now as the Civil Air Patrol. We have a picture over here that you're going to see later on over here at the board. It's a picture of her in her Civil Air Patrol uniform. And she served on several commissions. She was quite a pioneer of female aviation. And so we wanted to tell Willa Brown's story, and we were so lucky to find this Cub. And we bought it, and we brought it here to Bowling Green. Jerry Kirby landed out here at the airport, and we took the wings off the airplane. First time we took the wing off, well, it took us a few hours. The second wing, it didn't take nearly so long, and we took the wings off of her, brought her out here, put her in this shelter, and restored her, painted her, and then we had to tow her, actually on trailers, the wings on one trailer and her on another. We had to take her back, take the wings off of it after we painted it, take the wings back off of it, took it back to the airport for the unveiling at our hangar party, and then we rented a trailer hangar over there at the airport for several months while we were restoring the Huey before we could get her in here to restore her. Took the wings back off of her and brought her back out here, put her back in here, and we put the wings back on. So by the time we did that about 3 or 4 times, well, we were pretty quick with it. So we were able to get the wings on and off fairly quickly. But they're made to come off easy. There's just 4 bolts that hold the wings on. It's amazing. She doesn't weigh but about, I said, how much she weigh? About 700 pounds? But those handholds back there in the back, what's this? You can do like this, and you just pick the airplane up and move it around. it's its own family.
All right, guys, so this was our final part of the series, stories of our veteran heroes from Aviation Heritage Park in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We had a lot of fun talking with Colonel Franklin while we were there, and he shared a lot of amazing stories with us, and we're so excited that we were able to share these with you guys. And this means a lot to me personally, because I know a lot of times these stories get overlooked or they get lost in time because it wasn't some astounding feat that they accomplished, but it's still some pretty amazing feats that they did accomplish, especially these men and women that we learned about here in Bowling Green. So guys, this place is funded fully through donations from visitors that come to the park. So we're going to put the link to their website down below, and you can go to their website and you can make a donation if you feel like you would like to do that. I know they would really appreciate it, and we would appreciate y'all's support for them also.
And what they're working on with their donations is, you know, maintenance, park maintenance, to keep up on it, artifact restoration, and then what are they working on now?
They are actually working, they've broke ground and they are starting to build an actual museum there on the site, where they're going to actually house some other artifacts. The Piper Cub that you saw, I think Colonel Franklin mentioned that they were planning on hanging that from a mezzanine inside that museum that they're working on building. And they've actually raised just over half of the amount needed to build that museum. So every little bit that you guys can help would be greatly appreciated.
And we appreciate you watching these videos and hope you enjoyed them. Mr. Franklin is really, really good at telling the stories and remembering the details of all of the stories, and we really appreciate it. We want to thank Colonel Franklin and the
board
Aviation Heritage Park altogether, for letting us do this.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity, and we're so excited that we had the opportunity to meet with them and to share their stories with you guys, and because I think this is probably one of those things that a lot of people overlook when they come to the area, and I think it's definitely something that you should check out and look at.
So if you haven't seen all of our other videos, we did a week-long series, so make sure you check out all of them, and leave some love, let them know what you thought of it.
Yeah. So again, guys, thank you guys so much for supporting us and following us along on this journey, and like Heather said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. So we'll see y'all next time. Thanks, guys.